Hello Libra, welcome to Monarch Intuition, and today I'm going to be doing a personality assessment through the tarot cards. So talking about your lowest base self going all the way up to your highest self, the highest level of enlightenment that you can achieve and attain within your life. So what's really important to understand about Libra is it's all about balance and decision making right here, okay? And choosing to look at cold hard facts instead of staying blindfolded to a situation. So when we look at the Eight of Swords, I know it's not one of your cards, but when we look at the Eight of Swords, there's a woman who is blindfolded and she's choosing to chain herself to these swords. She could easily walk away from the situation, but she wants to stay there. And the Two of Swords, which is your base energy, this is you choosing not to make decisions within your life, okay? You're deciding, hey, I don't want to rock the boat right here. And it's important to understand that there is an ocean in the background with all these rocks, right? And you're saying, well, my opinion really doesn't matter about situations. I don't want to, shake things up. I'm not really going to, give my opinion on the matter. I'll just kind of sit in the back, block myself off to the situation with these two swords and choose not to be enlightened. But here's the problem with that, Libra. When you choose to stay within this energy, when you choose to be within darkness, it throws off the balance of your whole life. You have to have discernment. Libra is one of the best signs when it comes to discernment energy. It's all about weighing the pros and cons of a situation and coming out with an equal balance, okay? So this person is not choosing the right-hand path or the left-hand path. They have swords in both hands, right? As opposed to the Queen of Swords, who has chosen the right-hand path. And her right-hand path represents the one sword going up, her intellect, her sharp decision-making. With this Three of Swords energy, Libra, it kind of represents being out of balance right here, all right? When it's out of balance, things in your life can fall apart. When you choose not to make decisions, you allow yourself to have heartbreak. When you choose not to stand up for yourself, when you choose to say, oh, everything's okay, everything will work out on its own, and you don't interject yourself into conversations and you don't stand up for yourself, you suffer through a lot of heartbreak right here, but you're choosing not to see this for yourself. You're deciding, hey, it's better if I don't rock the boat. It's better if I stay blindfolded and not make decisions because I'd rather other people do that. But here's the problem, Libra. Even if you're a female right here, it's important to understand that Libra is hyper masculine male energy, all right? It's very masculine sign. I know that these are represented by females right here, but they're female goddesses. They do not have time, and they sit on the positive polarity. They don't sit on the negative polarity. There are goddesses who sit on the negative polarity, same with gods. And then there are goddesses who sit on the positive polarity next to gods. So you are on this hyper positive masculine polarity. You have to make decisions. Other people will follow you, but you have to be the person who has pros and cons within your life. That's why Libras make really good, speakers, because they're very concise. They make very good lawyers, judges, things of that nature. Anything that requires harsh decision making or reading through text and finding double meanings behind them. With this Four of Swords energy, this is you choosing to not make decisions but deciding, hey, the Three of Swords, it doesn't feel good, but as long as I kind of sleep my life away, it'll be all right. But eventually, Libra, within your life, you get so tired of being passive and sleeping your life away, you choose to go after this fourth sword underneath him. He's deciding, hey, I've had enough of this. I'm going to sit in the back. I'm not going to rock the boat energy. I'm going to be someone who makes harsh decisions for other people and for myself. This is you taking charge within your life. And then you develop into this Queen of Swords energy. This Queen of Swords energy is the queen on a chessboard, okay? Now, when we think of the queen on the chessboard, the queen moves around a lot. The Queen of Swords doesn't really move. She's someone who's like a judge. People come to her and she delivers a sharp verdict. She hears both sides of the story. She is the representation of the daughter Dike. And this is the representation of her mother, Themis. Themis ruled the scales and her daughter Dike ruled, what's the word? Human law. So Themis rules karmic law. What you have to understand is that the concept of balance right here. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, Libra. All right? So when you put something on the scales, what's going to happen? It's going to tip. And then what happens when you put something on this side? It's going to tip to try to find balance. You have to be very careful in the way you judge certain things and certain people within your life, okay? Libras can tend to be a very flaky person, but can also be extremely sharp and critical towards others, all right? You can pick out someone's flaws really easily. But what's important to understand is that you're only picking out their flaws because you lack the ability to make proper decisions within your life if you're coming from this Two of Swords energy. Air signs are always extremely argumentative people, and they might find joy within hurting other people's feelings when they come from their base self. Because you cannot see things from a positive perspective, you would rather hurt other people and make them feel bad. But here's the thing. You rule the scales. So what goes around comes around. That's the laws of karma, right? Libras get the worst karma that there is. Libras really do, because you're ruled by that. So everyone has tragedies within their life, okay? Every sign, when I talk about the personalities of the signs themselves, I really don't like to look at the astrological aspects, because the astrological aspects don't really dictate our personalities. What they do is they dictate the trials and tribulations of our lives, and we will build a personality based off of that, whether we choose to be forgiving or really jaded people, okay? So when we look at, say, Libra, for instance, you're always going to get a lot of karma, whether it's good or whether it's bad. When we look at Scorpio, Scorpio is always going to have really harsh endings and really tragic endings within their lives of things that they really wanted, okay? When we look at, say, Aries, for example, they have to temper their impulsivity because what they do changes the lives of other people extremely drastically and radically. Your decisions and your inability to make decisions really holds you back, okay? And it holds back your career right here. With your Justice energy, you have to choose for yourself. I can't stay asleep forever. Eventually, I'm going to have to wake up and smell the coffee and just realize that what I've done to myself, I really need help to undo them. For example, when you make a lot of bad decisions when you're younger and you just kind of go along because you don't have the ability to say no, because Libras generally don't have that ability when they're younger. They're like, yeah, whatever, I'll kind of go along with it. You have to pay for those repercussions later on down the line, Libra. This is really important to understand that when your karma does cycle back around, it's going to be in a way that puts you into submission to the universe, all right? It's going to be really harsh. Now, the punishment fits the crime. However, the way that the punishment is, it's very, very painful. It's something that's not comfortable in the least, okay? That's what you have to understand, is that the universe will make the punishment fit the crime, but it's not saying that it's not going to make you extremely uncomfortable. Sometimes people suffer with, sadness within their lives, like, seeing it happen to other people, but usually the universe will turn it around and hurt you, okay? Not hurt other people within your life, because it's trying to put you into this submissive state to where you wake up for yourself and say, you know what, I have to take control. And by you choosing to take control, you become a very balanced person. People trust your decision making because it doesn't come from a place of being impulsive, like, oh yeah, I'm just going to be like Aries, I'm just going to run and do these things. I believe Aries is your opposite sign too. I believe, don't take me on that. But with this inability to make decisions and good decisions for yourself, you're going to deal with a lot of karma probably within your 20s. And if you don't wake up in your 30s and deal with the situation, it's going to follow you throughout your 30s and your 40s and your 50s. Some of you are still paying off karmic debts that you racked up when you were younger. Okay? But when the time comes around, you have to understand, you can't be bitter at the universe for giving you those things, because that's your life cycle. That's what you're supposed to do within your life. That's what you have to understand. It's not like, oh, screw the universe, I'm never going to do anything for it again. No, it's to help make you a better person, to help make you the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords cannot judge someone unless the Queen of Swords has taken the test to judge someone, if that makes sense. When we look at attorneys, they have to go to school for like 8 years, and then they have to pass something called the bar exam, right? Bar exam is like extremely difficult. A lot of people don't make it their first time. A lot of people don't make it their second time or their third time. Because the reason behind that is that if you fail this situation right here, you cannot judge other people. Because you got to think about that. Does the punishment fit the crime? If you judge other people improperly, you mess up the scales right there. And that karma comes back to you. okay? And that's something that you don't want to follow you throughout your life, Libra, is that you don't want to make bad decisions that impact other people's lives. You need to come from a place of logic and understanding and reasoning right here. So when we look at these two pillars in the background, this represents yin and yang energy. Now they are both white in this picture, so that does represent being on the positive polarity. However, in the high priestess pillars always represent, masculine and feminine energy. The balance between those things. You are ruled by the sign or the planet Venus, which rules beauty. So when we talk about the planet Venus has two polarities to it, okay? Because in the Bible it says Jesus was the morning star, and then the Bible says Lucifer was the morning star. The negative and the positive balanced out, right? And you have to understand that for yourself. You sit in the center of that. You sit at the center of the graph, and then everything extends out from there. You have to understand the concept of being in the center and then judging the situation to see things clearly. You can't just say, oh yeah, that sounds stupid, or that person's definitely guilty. You have to take into everything into consideration, all right? You can't just be like, oh, well, that person looks shady, or that person's ugly, they probably did it. No, you have to come from a very masculine perspective and take things in logically, think it through critically. And if you choose to stay within this energy, the universe is always just going to come back and haunt you, and haunt you, and haunt you until you decide to drop the swords, wake up. And when you decide to stop being bitter about the situation and say, hey, this is my lot in life, everyone else is going through their own trials and tragedies too, you can't sit there and say to yourself, well, no one else is going through it, because everyone is. Everyone's just on different paths, Libra. You might get hit with karma in a very weird, awful way, but once you work through it and once you're done paying off that debt, you shouldn't go and make those same decisions again and curse the universe. You should say, that's a lesson that's going to allow me to become this Queen of Swords energy. Because when we look at the Queen of Swords energy, there are butterflies on her crown. And there is a butterfly at the bottom of the throne right here. I talked about this in Aries reading, right? The butterflies, the monarch butterflies, the way that they move their wings, it's so delicate that when a flock of butterflies like swarms through the sky, it can cause hurricanes on the opposite side of the world. It's called the butterfly effect. Something so delicate, something so small has such a big impact on a situation. And you have to understand that, there's always evidence, right? When you go through evidence and go through evidence and evidence and more evidence, right? You're going to see something that stands out to you. And that small piece right there completely balances things out. That's what you're looking for, Libra, throughout your life. Now, you can't say, well, it seems fine. This evidence is whatever. Yeah, the person's guilty or the person's fine. No. It's always about looking deeper into the situation, critically, 100 times if you have to find that one piece, that one small, delicate, little fragile thing that other people might not understand and say, that's the problem right there. Because remember, in the old days, the way that they, balanced out the scales was with rocks, right? And they had to find certain rocks that matched the same weight. They couldn't use a rock that was like, oh, it's close enough. No, they had to find an exact weight of that rock. So anyway, Libra, I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I'll talk to you later.